You think humor makes you approachable. You think making people laugh will make you loved. You think when you make a joke out of yourself, people will see you as humble. You believe laughter is a shield protecting you from the crowd's judgment. You believe that if they are laughing, it means they are on your side. But let me tell you something. You are completely wrong. Here is the brutal truth. The truth that people with sad clown syndrome never want to face. Every time you rush to make a joke to fill the silent void. Every time you mock your own appearance or abilities in exchange for a round of applause, you are sending a signal, a highly dangerous signal. I need your attention. I need your validation. My value depends on whether you find me entertaining or not. And when the other person realizes that, they will not respect you. They might invite you out because you entertain them, but when there is something important, when they need a leader, when they need someone to respect, they will push you aside, not because you are not good, but because you positioned yourself as an emotional servant. You have turned yourself into a form of entertainment. But here is what very few people realize. Giving up the role of a clown does not mean you have to become rigid or boring. It requires you to understand power and how laughter manipulates psychology. I have spent a lot of time digging deep into behavioral psychology, on how primates use laughter in their packs, and on how high-status individuals control their laughter. In this deep dive video, you will discover 3 core things. First, why our brain uses humor as a signal of submission. Second, psychological strategies to extinguish the habit of self-deprecation. And finally, a special set of techniques to handle toxic people who use the guise of a joke to attack you. By the end of this video, you will completely change how you communicate. You will no longer have to rack your brain to please others. Let's start with the nature. Why do we like to play the fool? Let's go back in time to the era of primates. In a troop of monkeys, not every monkey is allowed to be aggressive. When a low-ranking monkey encounters the alpha, to avoid being attacked, it will bare its teeth. It will emit short and intermittent sounds. That is the predecessor of laughter. In evolutionary biology, the initial smile was not a sign of joy. It was a sign of submission. It signals that I am weaker than you and I am not a threat. That is why when you stand before your boss, when you stand before a crowd, or when you feel stressed, you often tend to nervously smile unconsciously. But Stoic philosopher Epictetus said something very profound. If you want to improve, accept being seen as a fool, but do not turn yourself into one. In modern psychology, there is a term called the benign violation theory. Something only becomes funny when it violates a certain norm but does not cause real danger. When you joke about your flaws, you are violating the norm of your own self-esteem. People laugh because they see you degrading yourself without any defensive reaction. It is a safe violation, but it is only safe for them, while your soul is being eroded. Now let's talk about the biggest mistake. Self-deprecating humor. You think that if you criticize yourself first, others won't criticize you anymore. You think it's humility, but here is how the brain works. There is a phenomenon called neuroplasticity. The brain believes what it hears most frequently. Even if it is a joke, when you constantly say, "I am so stupid," "I am so ugly," "I am pathetic," your subconscious does not understand the concept of a joke. It registers it as the truth, and gradually you will act exactly like a pathetic person. Worse still, the law of social attraction states that people will treat you exactly the way you treat yourself. When you constantly turn yourself into a joke, you are giving others permission to disrespect you. They no longer see your boundaries. You turn the conversation into a circus. And guess who the monkey is? It is you. So, how do you stop? How do you have a sense of humor while still maintaining your dignity? Here are 3 neuropsychological strategies. Have you noticed that insecure people often laugh at their own jokes right after saying them? That is begging for approval. From now on, if you say something funny, keep your face extremely calm. Do not laugh. Let others laugh. The contrast between a funny statement and your cold face creates a massive magnetic pull. It is called deadpan humor. It shows you control the situation. You do not crave their laughter. Instead of stabbing yourself, use humor to observe the world around you. Don't say "I am such an idiot" when you get lost. Say "It looks like this map wants to test our patience." You still create laughter, but you shift the target from yourself to an objective thing. That is how high-status people joke. They never degrade themselves. When someone in the group makes a joke out of you, the instinct of the weak is to play along and force a laugh. Absolutely do not do that. Look straight into their eyes. Do not crack a smile. That silence creates a massive psychological pressure. It is called cognitive dissonance. They expect you to laugh, but you are ice cold. They will feel embarrassed and will never dare to repeat it. Let's be real. This society is not short of toxic people. There will be those who intentionally humiliate you in public. And when you react, they will click their tongues and say, "Why so tense? It's just a joke." They use the disguise of humor to cover up their malice. Also known as schadenfreude, at this point, you cannot use a smile. You must use the joke dissection technique. When they say that, act completely innocent. And say in a deep, warm voice, "I don't quite understand that. Can you explain why it is funny?" They will be confused. They will try to explain. But a joke, when dissected and explained, becomes extremely awkward and pathetic. Keep asking, "Do you mean my pain makes you happy?" At this moment, the shame transfers from you to that person. You have exposed their toxicity without having to raise your voice. You draw a hard boundary with a deadly silence. The truth is, the need to make others laugh is not kindness. It is an insecurity inside you. Emperor Marcus Aurelius once reminded us, "Your peace does not lie in the thoughts of others. It lies in your own actions." Regaining respect does not require you to speak more. It requires you to know how to value yourself. In a noisy world where everyone tries to play the fool to get attention, the person who maintains a mysterious silence and a rare smile is the one who holds true power. Stop doing comedy for people who didn't pay the ticket to your life. Next time the crowd pressures you, will you choose to be the clown or choose to be the king? Comment the word respect below if you are ready to change. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so I know you belong to the 1% who are waking up every day.